when I get to the end of that time, it's like, it wasn't necessarily that I didn't have any more goals for the organization, but I looked at it and I was like, man, we've done so much, and I'm like, the organization's true strength is its volunteers and the people who help. I'm like, I think it's time for someone else to step up to the plate and take this thing to the next level.
Hello, and welcome to the Physical Preparation Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Robertson, and I'll be joined on the line later today by Scott Caulfield. Now, before we jump into this week's episode, I want to give you a quick recap of the week that was, what's new in my neck of the woods, and I think the highlight of last week was running my kids camp. Definitely enjoyed it. We had 5 kiddos enrolled, so really kind of a sweet spot as far as number. I probably could have done a few more, but having 5 was a really good mix. I had Kindle in there, and then, believe it or not, 2 different sets of twins. So that was quite interesting. But man, we had a lot of fun, worked on a lot of fundamental movement skills, working on throwing, kicking, catching. We did some sport-specific stuff where we played basketball. We worked on volleyball. So, man, just a lot of fun. But I think definitely the highlight of that was playing Battleship, which, as the children describe it, it's kind of like safe dodgeball is the best way to describe it, because you've got cones that you're aiming for. And, since we were working on throwing and kicking, your goal is to basically hit over the other team's cones. If you catch it, you get to put a cone back up, So it's a lot of the elements of dodgeball without throwing it at people's faces and getting injured. So it was a great time. Really enjoyed that. I think all the kids had a blast. Definitely looking forward. I don't know if I'm going to end up running another one this year, simply because the timing of it, we're running out of summer. And there's basically the week that I had it lined up is like the last week before school starts. So I don't know if I'm going to squeeze it in. I just don't know if we'll have any interest, as people are trying to get last minute things done before school starts, going on trips and vacations. But definitely a success, and definitely something I'm looking to do more in the future. So I had that, got some good training sessions in myself. I don't know if you follow on the Instagrams, but trying to post some stuff from my training sessions here recently. I got a fellow iFaster, or a former iFaster, Mike Camperini, writing my programs right now. Just really nice. Man, I think a lot about programming. I'm spending a lot of time writing programs right now. Frankly, I just wanted something fresh that I didn't have to write for myself. And Mike's a very sharp guy. Obviously had him on the podcast here a couple weeks ago. So he's been writing my program, really enjoying that. It's different, fresh, improving my movement quality. So love where that's going. And I feel like that's really feeding my coaching as well, because it's just stimulated some new thought, made me reconsider some things that I've been doing with people, or just, constantly evaluating. And I think that's one of the great things about being around, whether it's a guy like Campo or being around Tall Dave at iFast, or Eric or Bill. When you're constantly surrounded by good people, it makes you constantly want to level up what you're doing. So just feel like a lot of the people that I'm working with right now are seeing really nice changes with regards to their movement, with regards to their on-court or on-field performance. So just really enjoying coaching right now, man. I mean, it feels weird saying that, considering I've been doing this 21 years now. But man, I still really enjoy it. I walked off the floor today. I mean, here we are. It's the 5th of July, right? So deep into our summer workouts, stayed up late last night for all the 4th of July festivities. Man, just had some really good sessions this morning. So, I mean, stuff like that keeps me invigorated, keeps me engaged. And when I see the guys and gals that I work with getting results, that makes me want to just keep going even more. So definitely enjoying all that. The weekend was great. Beautiful weekend here in Indianapolis. I mean, like mid-70s, a couple days. So went downtown, had dinner Saturday night, went to an Indy 11 game. First one we've been to all year. Unfortunately, they could not get the win, but still, it was just great getting out with the family and enjoying a beautiful night out. The 4th was very chill, grilled out, hung out with the neighbors, did our best to just went to all this labor and time. She made these beautiful like steak kebabs. And so I put them on the grill. I mean, just amazing. Everything was fresh cut. So fresh onion, fresh red pepper, fresh pineapple, grill it all up. I mean, it tastes amazing. And the kids were like, it's okay. They wanted the hot dogs that I grilled instead. So, whatever floats their boat. I had leftover steak kebabs for myself today, so that was nice. But if you're in the States, I hope you had a safe and happy 4th. If you're not in the States, that's totally cool too. I still love you anyway and appreciate you listening. So that's last week. This week, pretty booked up, man. The coaching's a little bit lighter because I got a couple people out for travel. Ed is traveling. Dakota is actually with the Team USA Select team, which is pretty cool. So you've got your whatever Olympic team that's going to go play in Tokyo and play basketball. But then you have the select team, which are the young men that get to go and basically train against the men's team every single day and practice and compete against them. So huge opportunity for him, not only to get seen, to get noticed, but also just to learn and to get experience playing against some of the best basketball players in the world. So very excited for Dakota. Beyond the coaching, I'm doing a podcast with the Kettlebell Kings and Living Fit crew. I'm excited to do that. It's a huge opportunity and a very big audience there. So pumped to do that. iFastU Q&A call. I've got 3 more podcasts I have to get recorded to get us through our summer break. So I've got Ben Eisenmarger. No, I just butchered his last name, Eisenminger. I'm going to have to figure that one out. But professional strongman, very excited to get him on there. Or I don't know if even professional is the correct term, but a very high-level strongman. So excited to have somebody new on the show and somebody that represents a different section of our fitness industry. So I'm excited to talk to Ben. I've got Dan Poneman and Jelani. I don't even know Jelani's last name, Brown. That's pretty bad. I can't think of it off the top of my head. But Dan and Jelani are 2 agents that I work with in the basketball space. Very excited to have them on because I think it's going to give you kind of an insider's view into what being an agent really means, what it looks like. It is not what you would think if you've watched Jerry Maguire. Maybe there are elements of that in other sections of the world, but man, Dan and Jelani are just 2 of the most down-to-earth dudes I think I've ever met, and we've got a great relationship. I'm excited to just learn more about what they do. So I'm going to play very much the curious podcaster or podcast host role with them, but excited to have them on. I'm going to do a solo show. So I've got some really good podcasts coming out for you here the next couple of weeks. Excited for that. And then definitely looking forward to going to a movie. It felt kind of weird. The whole family booked it. But yeah, this Friday, we're going to go check out the new Black Widow movie. Just excited to go to an actual movie theater, sit in a movie theater and watch a movie. So a little bit longer than usual, but like I said, lots of good stuff going on in my neck of the woods. I hope you can say the same. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to jump into this awesome episode with my guy, Scott Caulfield. Are you tired of struggling with sore or achy knees? Is knee pain keeping you from performing the activities you enjoy, either in the gym or just in life? And would you like to build a set of pain-free and healthy knees once and for all? If so, let's talk about my Bulletproof Knees online coaching program. You see, almost 15 years ago, I released my Bulletproof Knees manual as a resource to help people restore their knee function and get back to living their lives. And even though people were still purchasing the manual and getting great results up to a year or 2 ago, I decided to take it off the market because it no longer reflected my current approach to knee health and knee training. But it seems like lately I don't go a single day without coming across someone who is in or has had knee pain. Some are elite level athletes in the NBA, MLS, or NFL who need to perform at the highest level day in and day out. Others are simply gen pop folks who want to train pain-free or be able to play with their children or their grandkids. And that's why I'm taking my Bulletproof Knees coaching program and I'm taking it on. Because when done well, this is a scalable training system that can be applied to virtually anyone regardless of their goals. Now keep in mind, just because I have principles that underpin this system, this is not some cookie cutter program where everyone gets the same watered down training template. When you train with me, you're getting a customized and tailored training program that is geared towards your body and helping you achieve your goals. So if you're interested in getting your knees moving and feeling great again, please send me an email at mike@robertsontrainingsystems.com with the words Bulletproof Knees Coaching in the subject line. I'll get back to you with all the details and we can get started as soon as you're ready. But please don't wait, as I'm only taking a select number of clients in this program. Again, send that email to mike@robertsontrainingsystems.com with the words bulletproof knees coaching, and we'll get started ASAP. Scott Caulfield is currently the Director of Strength and Conditioning at Colorado College. Prior to his time there, he spent 11 years as the head strength and conditioning coach and coaching education manager for the NSCA. In this show, Scott and I take an insightful look into his career in the physical preparation world. We talk about what originally led him to strength and conditioning and how he got his start. We talk about why he eventually moved to the NSCA and spent a great deal of time rebuilding its roots and making it a gathering place for coaches. And last but not least, we talk about why he's since moved back into coaching and why he's still excited to get up and coach every single day. I really enjoyed this look at Scott's career, and I think you will as well. But enough for me, let's do this. Scott, man, thanks so much for coming on the show here today. Really excited to have you on. Could you start by just telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Mike. I know we've been talking about doing this for a long time, so really appreciate us finally getting the schedules together. It's been a wild ride. I feel like I've done a little bit of everything in the strength and conditioning / fitness profession. Like a lot of people, I started out kind of personal training first, or just getting into fitness and not really knowing, what I didn't know. Got my bachelor's in physical education. It was a non-teaching track. So I was kind of, I would have had to stay an extra year to do student teaching and be a PE teacher. And I had taken some other courses, at the time in undergrad, like motor learning and different nutrition, kind of foundational exercise science stuff. And then I just thought I'd always worked at gyms. Funny, like even back, I had a part-time job, just like cleaning equipment to have a free gym membership. So like that was kind of always in the back of my mind. I don't think I realized until I got out of college that it could be a full-time job. And actually I had graduated from college. I had gone in the Navy, went back to college, graduated. I was actually only working part-time at a gym. I was working on mailboxes, et cetera, full-time. And my side hustle was at the gym that was local in town. And just one day, finally, the general manager came up to me, and who's a good friend of mine now, mentor. And he was like, "Hey man, you really like this. You're passionate. People like you. Like, why don't you just come and do this full-time instead of doing these two things at the same time?" And so that was really what started it. And that was like working the fitness floor, doing all the basic stuff. But that led me to getting certified as a personal trainer and starting getting personal training and meeting more people. And, somewhere along the lines there, I had met some people who had, were farther along in their career than me, and were like, well, if you want to train athletes, you got to check out this NSCA thing. Because this organization has a certification, and they know more about it than we do. They're basically just saying, go. So that led me down kind of a rabbit hole, checking out the journals. And I'd actually also found out about Elite FTS through them, because that was back when Dave used to advertise in the SCJ. And so I used some of his old ads. And so that really led me into a lot of the, kind of where I learned a lot of this stuff back in the day, and probably stumbled onto you and Martin Rooney and a lot of people who I've known now for over a decade and stuck with. But that really snowballed, getting a little more involved in finding out about what training athletes was all about. So I just started at my gym trying to get more involved. So I ran my own summer camp, which was called just Summer Strength Conditioning Camp, for like 6th grade to 11th grade, trying to get more kids involved, basically, so I could just do what I wanted to do at the facility. And it was in a whole market that wasn't even, looked at back those in the early 2000s. It was still pretty new, especially in a place like Vermont. So that's another thing. I grew up in central Vermont. I always joke around that like Vermont's, kind of 2 to 5 years behind everywhere else in the country. So when something is hot somewhere else, like we get it up there after the fact. But it was great. that gym was really fun and it was a good experience. That guy, Dave Piquel, who was the general manager, and he was a hockey coach. And so coaching was just in his blood. So he really supported me a lot and was huge, just trying to keep me in doing things and obviously helping the business. But, that led me down the road of finding out more people who are strength coaches and all right, what are these people doing? How do they do it? I found Paul Goodman, who was at the University of Vermont at the time, and he was actually the NSCA Vermont state director. In my initial meeting, I tracked him down at an NSCA national conference and just awkwardly cornered him somewhere and basically, talked him into letting me shadow or volunteer up at UVM. And that kind of led to us becoming really good friends. And he mentored me in strength and conditioning. I was into strongman contests back in the day, and I got him into doing strongman. It was really cool. And that just continued to evolve. I met some other people through the NSCA state clinics in Vermont, and Jen Poljasic, who was another big mentor of mine. She ran a place called the River Valley Club, which was down in Hanover, New Hampshire. And so that was a place that I went down and ran their kind of sports performance center, which was basically like an old basketball court they turned into a gym with a strip of turf and some racks. And so I ran that for a few years. But while I was there, I got involved with Dartmouth College too. And so I was volunteering with the football team, and I was doing personal training, regular clients, athletes. And yeah, I mean, when you think back at some of those days, it's like, I can't believe I did that. Running, from the football lifts at 6 and setting up at 5, whatever, dark 30, and then training those guys till 8 or 9, and running up and hitting your regular clients and still finding time to train or read something. And it was great though. At the River Valley Club, they had an outdoor swimming pool. And so I would be out they joked it was my office hours would be 1 to 3 out by the pool in the afternoons, which was either just recharging or taking a nap outside in the lounge chairs. And
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. And so that was really cool. I mean, that led to a lot, of just kind of getting more involved. And then Paul Goodman, who was at Vermont, actually took over as the Chicago Blackhawks NHL team strength coach. And he's still there as the head strength coach. I think 3 Stanley Cups later. He's been awesome, still a great friend and mentor. But when he left, he was like, hey, they need a new Vermont state director. So I had sent in a resume and whatnot, and I became the Vermont state director for NSCA. And so that really led me to being more and more involved in the organization, running events, just networking, going to the conferences, meeting other people who kind of just saw that I was interested and were like, hey, come hang out, come to the bar after, come eat dinner with us. And so it was very grassroots. And that's, I think, why I've stayed so involved with the organization, is just the people who kind of took me under their wing and showed me the way. I felt like I owe the same to pass along to them. And it really did. I think obviously the connections I made led to me probably, being able to get the position at NSCA headquarters. So in January of 2011, I went out to NSCA headquarters. Education coordinator was my title. And we sat on the second floor of the building and coached maybe 3 hours a week or something. And wore business casual outfits. And I was like, what the hell did I do? Why did I leave the coaching work job to do this? And I mean, long story short, in about 6 months after I'd been there, I got promoted to the performance center manager and head strength coach. And so I was in the weight room every day. And I mean, still bigger picture, NSCA wide, they had kind of gotten away, and I don't think anyone would argue this fact, they had gotten away from strength and conditioning coaches, right? Which was the core. The organization grew. It's still growing. It's huge. It serves a ton of different people. Some people don't like that. Some people do. I think it's one of the great things about the organization is the diverse groups that you have within it. But, they had gotten away from strength and conditioning coaches, and Boyd Epley, who's obviously a legend and the founder of the NSCA, was back at NSCA headquarters at that time. And John Jost, who was a director at strength and conditioning at Florida State, was on the board of directors, and they basically were like, Scott, you need to be the guy that connects with all the strength coaches. Like, they need to know who you are so that if they need something, whether it's to complain about something or they need help with something or whatever it is, they need to know that you're the guy. And so they really pushed me outside of the comfort zone, because I was like, I don't know, like, I'm good in the weight room, right? Like, I don't know about this, like, put me up on stage, announcing awards, or, doing all these PR things, or it was definitely pushing me outside the comfort zone. But when I look back on it now and how it evolved, it's probably the best thing that ever happened for the organization and myself as well. The network that I've grown now from that time is really amazing. And when I look back at the relationships and friendships I built stayed there close to a decade. And I really just left and took this role here at Colorado College in the fall of 19, kind of right before the pandemic. And actually, CC had reached out to me. They called me at the national conference, and they were kind of in a pinch because two of their strength coaches had left. They were like, we're changing the position. We need someone interim. And so my full intention was just to come over here and be interim and just do a few weeks and then go back to my gig at NSCA. But after I'd been here for a little bit, I was just back in the trenches and around the athletes. We just have such great student athletes here. And I was like hooked. And I'm like, you know what? I should just stay here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the short version of a crazy long story.
I love it, man. I love it. And I mean, we've talked about this numerous times, but your journey is so unique. And I feel like one of the things that I enjoy about this show is just being able to talk about like the career fair, right? Like, these are all the unique things you can do in our industry. So one thing I wanted to ask you is, you've obviously spent time in the public and the private sector. I'd love to hear your thoughts, or maybe the aspects that you liked and maybe you disliked about working in each environment.
I liked having regular people. I know some people like I talk to are just, so some coaches will be like, I could never train regular people. I mean, one of my favorite clients still of all time is a guy named Bob Haynes, who's passed now, but he was 86 or 87 at the time. And he was a fireball, man. He would just crack me up and like complained about most things that I made him do. But it was such a blast, like, giving him the best part of his day. And so I like flexibility of kind of being able to make your own schedule with your own clients. And, depending where you are, the flexibility is greater. But, I really liked the way that my schedule, even when I was working crazy hours at Dartmouth and training, still being able to have my workout time or pool time or whatever time that was,
Right.
And in college athletics, it's different. At Colorado College, we're on the block plan, which means that you have basically one class for a concentrated block of 3.5 weeks, and then you're done with it. So like every fourth week, they have Monday through Wednesday classes, and then they have like finals or papers due on Wednesday, and then they have a 4-day weekend. So like even us as staff, we love block break. Like we're like, yeah, block break.
Right.
Let's go. And here as well, everyone has class at the same time. So it's not like there's not a revolving door where you could have athletes coming in every single hour of the day. We know that basically from 9 to 12:30, people are going to be in class or eating lunch. And so we have those nice chunks of time that we can get stuff done, have office hours, go run errands. Yeah. So I think, honestly, I like the flexibility of both and the differences in the flexibility of both arenas.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So one thing I'm so intrigued by is, you obviously had an incredibly successful career as a coach. And then, like you said, you take this job with the NSCA, right? And so I would love to hear some insight into your thought process and maybe the goals that you had for yourself or for the organization when you took that position.
For us at headquarters, at NSCA headquarters at the time, it was very much about re-engaging strength and conditioning coaches. And one of the big things that I was always adamant about too was improving the membership benefits. Because I, in full disclosure, before I became the state director, I was very close to dropping my membership like a lot of people do and just keep your certification because
Right.
I didn't really see the value in the membership itself. So the resources that having a membership for $120 or whatever a year got you. And so I think we made a lot of strides in pushing those resources between. We had a basics of strength and conditioning manual. There was some other courses that we did, some of the events that I did, like the training for hockey and the combat sports clinic that really Andy Galpin and Lauren Lando and I together kind of spearheaded, and that were just took off during that time. So those were huge for me. Again, I didn't anticipate like to be that point of contact for all the coaches, but it happened naturally. And
Right.
like, yeah, it was funny. Even I remember Boyd, like we were walking the AFCA, the American Football Coaches Conference one year. And he was like, yep. He's like, you're going to be the guy. He's like, you got to be the next Boyd Epley. And I was like, whoa, like, don't even say those things the same. That's not even like a real deal. But he's like, but he was like, there's going to be a point when these people know you and they don't know who I am, and it was just surreal to have someone like that saying that to you. But again, It was him, introducing me to people, pushing me out the door. That's the person you contact. And we did a lot. We had partnerships with the NBA strength coaches. Major League Baseball had been established prior to me, but it never had taken off like it has, with us being at winter meetings every year, getting more involved again with all those professional organizations. So, and I think as you talk about like evolving or knowing, when I get to the end of that time, it's like, it wasn't necessarily that I didn't have any more goals for the organization, but I looked at it and I was like, man, we've done so much, and I'm like, the organization's true strength is its volunteers and the people who help. I'm like, I think it's time for someone else to step up to the plate and take this thing to the next level, and not that I couldn't have, but again, being back around athletes recharged those batteries and really drew me that way. And I know there's so many great people that are involved with the organization. And I'm like, somebody's going to take this job over and it's going to change. It's going to be different and they're going to run with it. It's going to be great.
Right.
And that's exactly what's happened. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. And I think that's something that, like you said, and I don't think there's any hiding it. When you approached me, when you took over kind of your position, you asked me to come speak at some events, I was kind of like, ugh. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't enjoy NSCA events anymore because I wasn't in the research side. Like, I was a coach, and I feel like you did such a good job. And everybody, it was literally like there was this buzz that came back around the NSCA. Like, no, wait, like this Scott Caulfield guy, like he's really trying to make this thing legit again. And I feel like it was very cool to see kind of that turning of the tide, so to speak, to where, hey, man, we can talk about research, but we're here for coaches too. So I think that you need to hang your hat on that because that was like such a cool thing. And it made people excited to be a part of the NSCA again.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest thing for me was getting people back involved, that all the people who, and it's a blessing and a curse, right? Because I joke around and I talked to him this morning for about half an hour, and Joe Ken and I just had but when I was at NSCA headquarters, he would always let me know how he felt, like he does to everybody. But like, it was awesome. And like, I didn't know him from anybody. And, to me, like he's an icon.
Yep. And
I'm this new guy at NSCA headquarters, and, we've become close friends now over that time period, and just like those times, and he was huge, like, because he would give me the insight. He would tell me exactly what he thought, and a lot of the time he's right on the money. Sometimes you gotta pull him back a little, but like he sees the big picture, and he's been a member since 1986. He's been a state director for 3 different states, like only person to win 2 Coach of the Year awards, the pro and college. Like, I mean, got to keep those people engaged, and if you start losing those people, that's when you're in big trouble. So I think that was huge to, and then just some other little things, like, right, that people don't think about. If you let your CSCS slip, right, or lapse, I think there was a time period when the answer was just oh, they got to take it again, and I worked hard from the inside to be like, look, there's got to be a better answer. And
Right.
And we were able to let people, if you could prove that you did the continuing education, that you could get it reinstated and not just sit for the exam again. And that was huge in engaging a lot of old time strength coaches or people who had gone away from the organization, and to be able to, just have that little kind of meet them halfway, even if it's not really halfway, but throw them a little bit of a bone instead of just saying, nope, you got to take tests. Yeah.
No, I love that. I love that. Okay. So again, you spent 10 years there, really in a lot of ways kind of rebuilt the organization, kind of molded it in a way that I think for coaches was very advantageous. To you, were there any accomplishments or maybe big wins that really stood out to you?
I think the biggest ones probably for me is the amount, the collaboration and partnership with the Major League Baseball Strength Coaching Association, the PBSCCS, everybody's got their acronym, and the NBA Strength Coaches, the NBSCA. Those two were big ones. Renovating the headquarters weight room, that was a big one in 2016. So, got to be the spearhead of that facility renovation and kind of leave my mark on that was really cool. And then, like I said, I think, just when I talk to people and they reflect or give me, thank me or, know of me from hearing from someone like you were kind of saying of this buzz that was about it. And because there were so many more people obviously behind me and, pushing me to the front to help me do that.
Yep.
But that was just a really cool part of it because, I wasn't looking for any sort of accolades or recognition, but, to be recognized as, being a kind of a key player in that is a really cool accomplishment to me.
Okay. So totally off script here, but something I just thought of. When you put these big events on, how much time and energy does it take to do a national conference or a coaches conference? How much time and energy does that take from you?
Yeah. It's insane. It's, obviously, at NSCA HQ, Virginia Meyer, who's the conference director, is doing all of the non-sexy, way behind the scenes crazy work, and then you've got a conference committee, but you've got a staff of NSCA HQ staffers that we bring 40 people or 50 people to run the event, and at those events, I think I didn't get to nearly hang out and spend time with people the way I used to like to when I was, just a member going to them because, at those events and people, some people know this because they see it. Most people don't. The NSCA staff is up at 6 a.m. every day for a morning meeting. You're usually up till midnight or so. And that's if you don't choose to go out and hang out with your friends afterwards, kind of putting the final touches on everything. From our side, from the coaching education side, my job was setting up all the speakers, the people who introduce and moderate the sessions. So it was making sure that every session had someone who was going to give them the time checks, someone who was going to intro, and that might be a different person, getting that schedule coordinated for, however many talks there are each hour and having all those pieces of the puzzle in place. It's crazy. I don't think people, unless they've done it, have any idea how a national level event like that goes off. And then doing again the keynote speaker and giving awards, and that was probably another cool thing, getting to kind of be the MC of the coaches conference and give awards away. They never really had a strength coach doing that. It would have been somebody else. So that was a really cool thing that we kind of changed and that they've stuck with, right? So the tactical head tactical manager does it at the tactical show. Personal training has one, the personal trainer, the manager that does it at theirs. So it was a really cool evolution to turn some of those processes into little things that made a big impact.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Definitely the most people I've ever seen in a room was when Stuart McGill spoke in Vegas one year. And I just clearly remember thinking, holy crap, first off, I have to go after Stuart McGill, right? I'm talking about core training after Stuart McGill. And just looking out. And if you've ever been to one of those events, there's so many lights so you can't
Right.
see like beyond like 3 rows. So I'm like, maybe everybody left, or maybe like, I don't know, like, but I just know I got to go after Stuart McGill, and it's like, holy crap, that's pretty cool. So
Yeah. I remember one year I had to cut off. I was moderating Tom Myslinski from the Jacksonville Jaguars, and
yeah.
I was scared to death. I was just like, oh my God, this guy's like 6'6", and he's huge. He played in the NFL.
Right.
Like if he goes over, he's gonna smash me like a grape, right? And just classic Milo. He's so sharp and he's so dialed in. He got up, did his spiel. Saw at one point his alarm must have gone off that he set at the end. Stops his alarm. Thank you, everybody. If you have any questions, I'll be out in the hallway to take your questions. Marched out, and it was like,
wow.
Holy wow, yeah, boss.
That's awesome, man. Okay, so this like amazing 10 or 11 year run, right? You're running the education arm, you're killing it with the NSCA. Now you go back into true full-time S&C. What prompted you to make that move? And you talked a little bit about like the NSCA and maybe letting somebody new take the reins there. What prompted you or drew you back into coaching?
Yeah, it really was. It was 100% the athletes here. I would say that initially, like we were talking before you started rolling, though, just some other X factors, right? You can't really. It's hard to put a number on it. It's hard to consider when you're looking for a job or thinking about a new job. But I live 2 miles right now from campus. I also can bring my dog to work every day. So she comes with me, hangs out in the office, hangs out in the training room with injured kids, hangs out in the weight room when people are lifting, But, first and foremost, though, it was just being around those student athletes, and the kids here at Colorado College are so great. We have 2 Division I programs and 15 Division III teams. And I mean, every athlete that I know here is just a good human being. So it was like, they hooked me first, and then all these other things started falling into place. I mean, kind of the backstory we didn't talk about. So Colorado College hockey actually trained at NSCA headquarters from about 2003 or 4 when the building was built until they started hiring strength coaches. So we actually, the first team that I had at NSCA headquarters was Colorado College hockey.
Oh, that's cool.
Because, so it was a partnership that they had long established beforehand. So I was there. So I was actually the CC hockey strength coach from 2011 to 15. In 2015, my job just got busier. And so I stepped down from doing that. They actually created another position at CC at that time. So now they had 2 strength coaches. And then in 19, again, when I decided to come over here full time, luckily, because I had stepped down from hockey, I now had an assistant position to fill, was able to hire someone really great. And so, just all these kind of things. So again, when I was going through the interview process here, I knew almost everybody on the committee. I knew almost all the coaches just from my involvement through the NSCA and the hockey team. So it was almost like I was already kind of here. It was almost like I was an alumni. It was kind of funny just because I felt like so comfortable. And then, when push came to shove in my final in-person interview, even the AD was like, look, Scott, she's like, half the people that we phone interviewed before for this position, had you as one of their references. She's like, so it's like, as we're going through this thing, we're kind of like, wait a minute.
We can just have the guy. Why get some other guy? You can have the guy. Yeah, there's just something about coaching. Godfather 3 is probably the worst. I mean, it's not arguably, it is the worst Godfather movie, but Al Pacino's line of, every time I think I'm out, they pull me back in. It's kind of like coaching, you get out for a little bit and you're like, damn, I missed that. I want to get back to it. And I just think there's certain people that just have coaching in their DNA. It's in their blood, right? Yeah. You mentioned House. Yeah. That dude's going to coach till he's dead. If you're passionate and you love helping people, coaching is one of the best careers you can have. No doubt about it.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Big question time, my guy. If you could alter the space-time continuum and give young Scott Caulfield one piece of advice, what would it be?
Oh, man. That's a tough question. One piece of advice, mean, I might have gotten involved in it earlier. I went to college, I went in the Navy, I went to college again, finished college. I would have probably tried to get into like a GA or position like right out of undergrad and just get started sooner. But at the same time, I think everybody's path has a reason for a reason, right? So like,
Right.
I don't know, but I would have liked to have known about it sooner. I think that would have again, I just didn't realize you don't know what you don't know.
Right. So wait, so when did you actually like start coaching then? So school, Navy
So
school. Yeah.
yeah, I graduated undergrad when I was 30, and I got my CSCS in 2003 when I was 33.
Oh, wow. See, and that's great for people to hear because so many people listening to this, maybe they are considering this as like a second career, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So it's just great for people to hear like, oh my gosh, Scott did all these things and he didn't really start coaching until, like you said, 33, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
no, I think that's a big one too. When I talk to people and say, whether they're in the military, connect with that part of my story, but also they're, sometimes they're like, oh, I don't know if I should, do this, or this is like starting over. And I'm always super positive about it. Like, I think it's only growing. There's only more opportunity. If you ask me, I don't see the glass half empty. I see a glass half full. I see a lot of opportunity.
Yeah. And not to mention the fact that generally, if you're in this space, you're serious about taking care of yourself and your own health. You're probably not the type that wants to retire at 55 anyway. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so, hey,
Yeah.
I'm going to start this at 35. Well, you're probably going to work 30 or 40 more years. Do you want to do something you don't enjoy, or do you want to move into something now that you're passionate about?
Exactly.
I love it, man. All right. So last but not least, we got our lightning round. 6 fairly short questions. Your answer can be as long or short as you like. Okay. Number 1, what's your career highlight so far as a coach or educator?
I think this is pretty easy for me. So in 2014, I got to work with the Paralympic sled hockey team because USOC and NSCA are so close to in town here. But Scott Rewald, who was the director of high performance for all the winter sports at the USOC, they were too busy with their other strength coaches that year. So they contracted and had me run the training program for about 8 to 10 weeks before the Sochi Paralympic Games.
Oh, wow.
So I got to work with a Paralympic sled hockey team who went on to win the gold medal. They probably would have won it without my help, but it was just like working with those guys. I worked with them kind of from like January up until they left for the games. It was just awesome. Like, guys that were either wounded warriors or had injuries from birth or whatever, and they were just awesome. And so they were, sometimes it was you were making stuff up on the fly, or you had an idea of what a movement was going to look like, and they would be like, all right, you know what, if we do it like this, you got to put that there, and then I got to go over here. They were just super great to work with. But you can't have a bad day working with people like that, because they're not feeling sorry for themselves. They're not down. Like, it was inspirational. And some of them too, it's great because I'm still connected with those guys. Actually, one of them is a personal trainer and involved in fitness himself now. So it's just really cool to still be connected with some of those guys still.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. Okay, number 2, you put on, I think this is fair to say, a lot of seminars over the years. So what I want to know is 1 or 2 of your favorite presenters and why you enjoyed them. And the only caveat here is you can't name me, because that would be obvious. I would be on
right. That would be a clear choice. Exactly. Well, I love Vegas. And I've been mainly to Vegas only for NSCA events or other conferences. So when I talk to people and I'm like, yeah, I love Vegas, I think they probably think I'm clubbing and hitting the tables, and it's not very farthest from the truth. I think it's a great city. And I have been there a couple of times for fun. And so I do like that. But, the other one, and when I saw that question pop up, you sent it to me, I think I put Indy as one of my favorite places.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because you've got NIFs there. I love hitting NIFs up. Everything's walkable. It's just a great city. And then presenters, Martin Rooney, I've gotten to know really well. He's a dynamic presenter.
Yep.
And the like I said, engaging the people, getting Joe Ken, who, would just bust my balls to no end all the time, and Andrea Hootie was another person that I got to be great friends with. Was now back at UConn, which was huge. So, I think a lot of the people, that are just really open and willing to help other people and share information were honestly my favorite presenters, because I just knew, there's some of them that would stay out in the hallway and answer questions for 6 hours if people were going to ask them, and they wouldn't think twice about it. Just like that kind of real open sharing and caring about other people, was just really the people that I'm drawn toward.
Yeah, no, I love it, man. All right, so that actually covers 2. That's great. Okay, so number 4, what are you most excited about with your job these days?
I think I'm still most excited about being around the athletes, helping them get better, trying to win games. I think that's been super exciting. I do have to add, we have a $70 million hockey arena that's going to be finished here in about a month or 2.
Oh, wow. That'll be nice.
It's going up fast. So I've been building a new weight room in there, and it's going to be the first time that Colorado College has had a hockey rink on campus in its history of the school. So
oh, wow.
There's a lot of excitement. So I think that's a really exciting thing. And we've got a new hockey coach. So we just hired a guy. He was the associate director at University of Michigan hockey. His name is Chris Mayotte, and I think he's going to be awesome. 38 years old. He's just fired up, and he's going to get after it. So new hockey coach, new arena, a lot of excitement on campus right now.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Okay, number 5. Dude, I hate to bring this up. I think I saw, are you rehabbing an injury, man?
Yeah.
What happened?
So true team player that I am, our men's basketball team had a bunch of guys in quarantine for COVID. So I filled in as the 10th man so that we could run some shell drill. So I was promised all-time offense.
Okay.
Didn't have to do anything else. It was actually the 3rd time I had practiced with them. And I will say, just so everyone listening doesn't think this is meathead, I played basketball my whole life. Played junior college, played men's league for 20 plus years. So
right.
I always joke around that doing strongman ruined my basketball career.
Yeah.
But long story short, 3rd time I practiced with them, went to drive baseline and popped it, man. And that was the end of that. So,
no.
Yeah. So
how's it feeling?
I feel lucky that it's better now. I'm on week 2 of being out of the boot and walking normal and being able to do PT now. So
okay,
game changer. Yeah, game changer. But it sucked for being non-weight bearing for people like us. Just is not a good mix at all.
Yeah, that'd be miserable.
Yeah.
All right, number 6, and last but not least, what's next for Scott Caulfield, man?
Man, that's a great question. I will say I got involved with a little side hustle that I'm kind of excited about, as most strength coaches are into something on the side. But I'm going to pick up some part-time coaching hours with Future Fit. It's that a lot of,
No, we had Josh on. Josh Bonnetal,
yeah. So I've known Josh forever. I've kind of kept an eye on him as he's journeyed through with Future. But aside from knowing him, I've had 3 former interns and then 3 really close friends who were coaches who left their coaching gigs to go, to their other job to go to Future full time.
Wow.
And I heard, through the grapevine that they had part-time availability. So I was like, my schedule, and I think this would work out. So I'm kind of just doing that to do some side hustle stuff. I think, in the big picture, I have in my mind that maybe an assistant athletic director position over sports performance, strength and conditioning.
That'd be cool.
Is down the road too. I think, to be able to influence the program wide and the collaboration of sports med and strength and conditioning. And that's another really cool thing I'll just mention quickly is I have a new partnership with Gatorade. They have a program called the Gatorade Performance Partners. And they came out with this new kind of subgroup called CAP. And so there's only 10 of us. There's 3 strength conditioning coaches and the rest are ATCs and RDs, 10 of us total. And we're kind of piloting this captain's program for Gatorade. And, the whole goal is just this interdisciplinary collaboration. And so we're going to be beta testing some stuff. We're going to be doing some speaking events and, kind of just roundtable discussions and conference of speaking. So, I don't know. I've got a lot of pokers in the fire, apparently. I hadn't really thought about, but it's all stuff in the wheelhouse. And one of the other big things was coming here was still putting on more events. So that was one of my goals in leaving the NSCA, was actually to be able to put on my own events, and whether it's Colorado College or Caulfield Strength or whatever. But like the pandemic obviously put a little pause on that. But as things come back, I'm really looking to do some cool stuff in Colorado. And I did take over as the NSCA Colorado State Director. So now I got 2 states. I got to get one more state in my career to tie Joe Ken, or 2 to beat him. So
there you go. Maybe you could just get a vacation home somewhere, and then you could work out of that state too,
Perfect. I love it.
I love it. Well, man, Scott, it's been great to catch up with you here today. Where can my listeners find out more about you and all the great work you're doing?
Definitely follow me on Instagram at Coach Caulfield. I do have a website, coachcaulfield.com, where I'm starting to get more put up there, but definitely Instagram is where I spend probably too much time, at Coach Caulfield. So check me out there if you haven't already. Message me. I'm great. I really love connecting with people through social media. It's been a huge asset to me growing my career and helpful to helping me as a coach and a person. So I'm always trying to give back as best I can that way too.
I love it, man. Well, again, Scott, thanks so much for coming on, buddy. It was really great to catch up.
I appreciate it, Mike. Thanks for having me.
All right, my friend, that does it for this week's show with Scott. Really hope you enjoyed it. He's a guy that I just have a tremendous amount of respect for, whether it's getting started a little bit late in his coaching career, the fact that he dove in to this whole thing head first, impressive. The fact that he put his coaching career on pause, went and worked at the NSCA, really brought it back to life. Not just in my opinion, but in a lot of people's opinions. I mean, that is impressive, because if you've been around the NSCA for an extended period of time, there was a period where we coaches really felt alienated. We felt like the organization was too far leaning towards the research side versus the coaching side. So we did a great job of striking that balance and making about both the coaching and the research. And then to get back in there, I mean, we talked about it in the show, but I feel like for some of us, coaching is in your blood. It's in your DNA. And I think it's that way for Scott. I know it's definitely that way for me as well. So again, hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, please take 2 seconds out of your day and subscribe to the show. Wherever you consume podcasts, iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you consume shows, go there right now and subscribe so that you know each and every week when a new episode drops. So my friend, as always, thank you so much for your support. Love and appreciate you. And we'll be back soon with our next episode. Take care.